the show I see the hot right here on Active Citizens, your dose of reality, straight and unfiltered. Today we are diving into 3 stories that show the pulse of Nigeria. We'll talk about terror, travel, and trust, or even the lack of it. My name is Ifoma Oji, and joining me in the studio this afternoon, I have a regular guest in the person of Genevieve Okeke. Good afternoon, Genevieve.
Good afternoon.
How are you doing this afternoon?
I'm fine, and you?
I'm great always. And I equally have with me in the studio Mr. Ugochukwu Afuba. Good afternoon, Ugochukwu.
Good afternoon.
How are you doing this afternoon?
I'm doing very well.
You look good.
Thank you.
All right, let's go straight to the stories for this afternoon. First, the federal government has raised fresh concerns over the growing link between kidnapping and terrorism financing in Nigeria. Speaking at a national workshop on counter-terrorism in Abuja, officials revealed that ransom payments have now become one of the biggest financial lifelines for terror groups operating across the country. According to the National Counter-Terrorism Center, criminal gangs and insurgent groups are increasingly depending on proceeds from kidnappings to purchase weapons, sustain logistics, recruit members, and expand their operational networks. And the government says it is strengthening coordination among security agencies to track financial flows, disrupt, kidnap for ransom syndicates, and cut off the funding channels that empower terrorists. Now, it may seem as though the federal government have woken and they've realized that it's actually kidnapping that is funding terrorism in Nigeria. Now, I'm going to start with you, Mr. Ugochukwu. How do you think that kidnapping evolved from a criminal act to a major funding source for terrorist groups in Nigeria?
Thank you for that question. And one of the reasons why kidnapping has grown so much to become something you can call a lucrative business in today's Nigeria is because of the way our security operatives approached it. The, in quotes, the non-kinetic measures they took to combat these issues. I've always said that when you negotiate with these people, you give them a leverage. They feel worthy of your time, not just anybody's time, the government's time. The government that is supposed to be too busy solving the security issues we have, now negotiating with these people, it just makes them feel relevant. And when other people, ordinary citizens who are not doing well, who are struggling with life, going through social internet, and they see that the government is paying attention to these people, actually paying some huge amount of money to people who are committing crimes in our society, why they themselves, who have remained law-abiding, are going hungry. Why wouldn't you join in the whole kidnapping stuff? Because it seems to be the way forward. So that's the government. This is a problem they caused by themselves, and they better start taking stringent measures in trying to fight these issues and step away from the non-kinetic measures they have long been using that has failed.
All right, now Genevieve, let's talk a little about the non-kinetic approach of combating insecurity in Nigeria, or rather terrorism in Nigeria. Now we saw the IG of police, the person of Ebetokun, he came out one time on social media to say that they don't bomb they can't bomb the forest because that is too kind of should I say that it's kind of hard to bomb the forest. Let me just use that line of thought, that it's going to maybe like cost a lot to do that. So I'm just going to ask, talking about the non-kinetic approach to fighting terrorism in Nigeria, do you buy that idea? Because a lot of people have come out to condemn such approach, but it's as if the security agencies in Nigeria are not backing down with what they said earlier, that they need to negotiate with these people instead of fighting them head on.
First off, that money they are using to negotiate with these bandits, since almost every time they always give flimsy excuse of there is no budget for this. Why not use those money to create the devices that we need to get rid of these terrorists. You're talking about how are you negotiating with somebody that is bringing fear and terror? You don't know that the more you're negotiating with them, just like Ugochukwu said, you are giving them leverage to feel like there is nothing that is going to be done. These terrorists are not scared. They have not seen where it, like, maybe their fellow gang of terrorists, their locations are being bombed each minute. They have not seen something like that. Because I believe that they have hideouts. I believe they have hideouts, and if each of their hideouts are being destroyed, you will see how they will be dispatchating. They'll be looking for, it's going to be hard because they need to come together, have a base where they plan all these things. So you can't tell me that if their hideouts are being disabled, that you won't be able to find them. So the terrorists have not seen any implementation from the government. That is why the government is coming to talk about it's nonsense. We don't need that. People's lives are being lost every day, and you're trying to use non-kinetic methods to get people that don't care about the lives of your citizens. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's quite alarming, because I saw one time on social media when one of these terrorists, or rather a group of terrorists, were making videos, and they were like, yes, we kidnapped the Kebbi school girls, or Kebbi people from Kebbi church, worshippers from church. You said you know their locations, come and get them, come and pick them up. And I'm like, how is it that they are still moving freely when we still have our security agencies? How is it that these people are still moving freely? And we saw the likes of, Daniel Boala coming out to say that the reason why we can't track, or why the federal government cannot track this terrorist, is because of the fact that they use maybe a more sophisticated technology while moving around. And I'm just going to ask now that the government, the federal government, maybe have woken up to fight terrorism. Ugochukwu, do you think that kidnapping itself should actually be legally classified as an act of, terrorism to enhance law enforcement powers?
Well, I don't really have a clear answer to that question, but I would say that kidnapping is something that should be condemnable, and there should be strict punishment provided by the law to abductors, people who kidnap people. But then I do not know if this is kind of a scheme by the government to do whatever. But I just wish to say that kidnapping is not the only financing route about terrorism. Kidnapping is not the only means of financing terrorism, because over the last week we had what's the name? The former Attorney General is facing charges with the EFCC, including having links with these kidnappers, these terrorists, and because it's not just kidnappers, because I don't know if that is the kind of impression they're trying to create now. So we think we move out from thinking that there are top persons in Nigeria who are financing this, to thinking it's just kidnapping. It is not. I agree that kidnapping is a part of it, but it's not even the major means through which these terrorists are getting funds to keep causing havoc in our country. If you want to get to the root of a problem, you cut off the head. You can't just go to you have to. Once the money stops flowing, there will be no way for these people to continue. So I do not know if they are trying to distract us, or this is just an honest opinion they are giving. But I believe that kidnapping is part of it, but it is not necessarily the main means of financing terrorist activities in Nigeria.
Now, weeks ago, or rather should I say last week, we saw where the Senate House, the plenary, Senate House of Assembly, where a certain senator kind of showed Goswe Akpabio a video where truckloads of weapons, should I say, bullets were dropping from a truck, and he asked that they make more prayers, they raise more motions as to how they are going to, fight that and stop it from, getting to the hands of this terrorist. And I'm just like, okay, up to today that we saw that in the Senate House, we are yet to hear that, okay, it has been confiscated, that the vehicle, the people that are involved have been apprehended, and they've been called in for questioning, or the rest of them. And it's still the same thing that we are talking about now, implementation or follow through. Genevieve, do you think that this particular headline, this what they said, right,
information, they don't give you the full information because they don't give you the full information because
He's still going to be expecting more abductions and more
because this
current
issue
administration will even give him the room
like we saw in the Senate House where a certain senator was telling him that he will be placed on probation for 6 months, and after the 6 months he's not able to fight in.
That's the normal thing. What do you expect? That's the normal thing. It's either one thing about this government is either they get you or they destroy you. So I bet you a lot of people will support him. He will have a lot of supporters, and he should just take it easy.
All right. I remember he equally said that he's going as much as possible to increase or talk to the federal government to increase the welfareism of those military personnel. Or do you think that this is more like it's going to be like I always say, a long ride for him?
Well, I do not know his intentions, but public, the people who are risking their lives for every other Nigerian, I don't know how much they are speaking for these people, because I know that all these the generals, the people who are always behind the table giving the orders, they're being fed up well. Yes. They don't really have an issue of maintenance.
Younger ones that are hoping to get acquainted with the military. But let's move over to the next story. Aviation expert and president of the Aircraft Owners and Pilots Association of Nigeria, Dr. Alex Nwoba, has provided fresh insight into the escalating cost of air travel across the country.
For tickets. Why? And not just more, it's extreme 300% increase.
It's not new. Every year it's the same. Prices go up at Christmas time. The forces of economics at play. It's a demand-driven price increase, and it's compensation for low fares during the low season. So every year it's exactly the same. The prices go up. It's unfortunate.
Was insurgency and insecurity on the roads, and kidnapping increased. Does kidnapping increase the price of tickets? I've been at the airlines, they sponsor this tickets. I've been at the airlines, they sponsor this insurgency. No, because tell me why we will have increase in insecurity. Allah.
All right, now we just watched that video. First from Alex Nwoba, and we saw Coco P coming out to decry of how expensive flight fare or flight cost in Nigeria is at the moment. How can you travel all the way from Lagos to Enugu for 450,000 naira? And while we have porous roads, we know the insecurity currently in Nigeria, and maybe citizens are already moving to the airspace to purchase tickets, and it may seem as though the price has already skyrocketed. I remember when we talked about this particular issue, I said that in the last 7 years, or earlier 7 years, that flight ticket was around 30 to 40,000 naira. But how it rose from that, I don't know if I should call it as a case of maintenance and the rest of them. But the high hike in price of tickets in Nigeria currently is quite alarming. But let me get your take, Ugochukwu, first with the first video we watched, and then the second video.
First, I would say that I'm not so surprised that the price is skyrocketing, but I must say that the amount it is at this particular time is outrageous. It is. I mean, it's not something an average Nigerian can afford. So, but I heard what I think the guy in charge of the airspace was talking about, that it's not directly their duty to reduce the price, but there is still something the government can do. I think I also saw a video of the aviation minister talking about deregulation, that the pricing scheme has been deregulated. It's not, the burden is not on the government again, but I still feel there is something they can do. As we are practicing a democratic government, so if they can call the stakeholders of all the domestic airlines we have in Nigeria, and as the government that they are, they try to discuss with these people so that they can find something that will be affordable for Nigerians. I understand that this is the festive period and it is not uncommon for prices of things to go up, but this is just too much. It is too much. Imagine buying a flight ticket for 200,000 last month and this month it's 500, 600. That is just so outrageous. So I feel instead of saying they do not have, it's not in their power to do, we've seen them do things that are not in their power before. So this is now the time when we actually need them to actually go beyond what they can do and see that Nigerians enjoy a good Christmas period.
All right, now coming to you, Genevieve, do you think it's quite insensitive? Because a lot of people, if you watch that video, people are saying that we are talking about how expensive flight ticket is, and the president of aircraft in Nigeria is busy, you know, making a fun out of it, because he was smiling while responding to the correspondents in our Rise News. So I just want to ask, do you think it was quite insensitive? Do you think that they feel the pulse of Nigerians? Because most people have moved from traveling, you know, on the road to, you know, airspace. Do you think it's quite insensitive?
Shower.
Yeah.
Shower. Ifoma, I've keep saying this thing here every day. Nigerian government don't care about the citizens. They are very insensitive. Like, they don't care one bit. Because if they care, first of all, they would definitely have a way of doing something.
There is a way.
The cost of price, and it will be a source of, like, let's say, like foreign cases, when such things happen, like all these terrorist attacks, they have under bunkers, they have safety places. So now it's going to be a safety measure for Nigerians, so that nobody will be going on roads anymore. But no, your government will not do that. They will still try to use this privilege to milk out from the citizens.
Sorry.
Because tell me, how many citizens can afford this thing? What is the minimum wage that people
70,000 naira.
The problem also is that they do not even see it as something serious, like you
Exactly.
said. You see how he was talking about it. They didn't see it as
Okay, now let's talk about this. Earlier this week, the Senate House raised this motion about how expensive flight ticket is, and I believe maybe they've started making moves to the reduction, or calling the aircraft minister to, you know or find out the reason why this skyrocketed to this now. But do you think now, with this move that they've made, do you think that the federal government is looking forward to reducing the taxes on, or the levies on these aircraft services? Because I know most definitely when some of them go import some of the spare parts of this aircraft, that it is quite exorbitant, so they'll have to pay for import duties and levies. So if they are to reduce those taxes and the levies, do you think that we see the improvement in the prices of tickets in Nigeria, you know, maybe this 30 December or 2020?
Yeah, of course. If the government reduces sorry, excuse me, if they reduce the taxes paid by all these aerospace companies, because I've also seen the president talking about some of these things, it will, you know, because sometimes when you are fixing a price, you have to consider a lot of things: cost of production, what it costs you, how much you pay as tax, and that's one of the key reasons why the price is also skyrocketing. And also thinking about the 2026 tax law, I mean, they want to make as much as they can this year before going into 26 to start paying so much tax. But then, since we have an aviation minister, this is his job. It's not just traveling, flagging off airplanes or airports. This is now the main reason why we have an aviation minister, to relate with the federal government. He is the federal government, part of it at least, to relate with them the problems of Nigerians and realistic ways to solve these issues, rather than saying that the pricing scheme has been deregulated, that is just left for private companies to fix their price.
I have something. Why is it that as individuals, indigenes of Nigeria, how is it that our domestic flight rate is expensive? Why is it expensive? It's not supposed to. I feel like it's not supposed to be expensive.
It's not supposed
Okay, I think
to.
they provided more.
Expensive.
They provided explanations or defense for this particular.
As usual.
Yes, they provided a defense, but this is not something we need to keep on discussing, because we have limited time. So I would love us to move straight to the last story for today. Now, the Lagos State Police Command has launched an investigation into a viral video showing a uniformed policeman being assaulted by a mob over an allegation of theft. The officer, whose identity has not yet been released, was seen in the video surrounded by an angry crowd shouting "thief." Now, the police authorities have condemned the attack, describing it as a case of jungle justice. Now, urging the public to allow law enforcement agencies to handle allegations through action will be taken if the officer is found guilty, but stressed that no Nigerian, including police officers, should be subjected to mob violence. Let's take a look. I just hear you. I heard you right now saying this is not nice. This is clear jungle justice. But let's talk about the police, welfare. Now we are seeing a lot of them coming out in the public to, commit atrocities, and not just collecting money from people. And we now saw recently that someone, a policeman, has gone ahead to, steal. Is yet to be identified or yet to be cleared, but this is what we are seeing on the headlines. But let me get your take on this video, Ugochukwu.
All I think is that mob violence, jungle justice, whatever you may call it, is condemnable. It should be condemned. No one should face that despicable, violence, no matter the person, be it a civilian or even a police officer. But then you wouldn't just have to end it there, because for a police officer to face mob action by the public, it means he actually did something. And this is now how we talk about the conduct of these armed personnel, something as serious as the police force that is supposed to be, protecting the citizens, is now looking like a threat to the same citizens. So what I think is that it depends on what the officer did. If actually he did something that is a threat to the people have a right to defend themselves. When I say a right to defend themselves, it's not to take illegal action on that police officer. Lie first to defend yourself, and then you hand him over to the appropriate authorities. That's just what I think.
All right, now coming to you, Genevieve, do you think that the act or whatever he did warrants or justifies the treatment that he got from the mob or the civilians? Do you think that was quite an overreach?
I wouldn't know what to say. It comes in two ways. I mean, coming from them as the civilians, the economic inflation would definitely afflict them to be very, very emotional and whatever to
reacting in such a way. Yeah.
So I wouldn't necessarily say that they went overboard. But what I can say is that the act of jungle justice or the mob justice should be looked in. But at the same time, you'd you wouldn't really blame them for doing such an execution, because the system has failed a lot of people. Many people will be like, oh, if we take him to the police station now, you might not hear anything again about the matter because he's a police officer. So it's a 50-50 thing. The mob justice should be looked in, rather than beating him, brutalizing him. They can just bundle him the way he is and take him to the office and make sure that he's been apprehended.
All right. Thank you so much. We'd love to have more conversations on this, but I think this is where we call it a wrap. Nobody is advocating for any form of mob justice or jungle justice in Nigeria. I believe that there are better approach to, crimes and criminalities in Nigeria. The authorities are there, even if they maybe allegedly have failed Nigerians, but that doesn't still mean that we'll take the law into our hands and act on it. But this is where we are going to call it a wrap on this afternoon show as Day Hot. My name is Ifoma Oji, and I did this alongside Ugochukwu Afoba and Genevieve Okeke. Thank you, gentleman and lady, for doing this with me. And to you, our viewers watching, thank you for always watching. If you're yet to subscribe, like and share and comment, please go ahead and do that. If you have a particular topic that you would want us to discuss on this afternoon shows, please go ahead and drop it in the comment section. So we'll come your way again in the evening for Active Citizens Parliament. Stay safe.